My name is Lena, and this is the story of the hardest goodbye I ever had to say, and the most beautiful hello that followed years later. Life doesn't warn you before it changes forever. One moment, you're sitting at breakfast, laughing with the person you love, and the next, you're standing in silence, holding a letter that breaks your heart. I still remember the smell of freshly brewed coffee that morning. My husband, Daniel, kissed my forehead before leaving for work, just like every day. He smiled and said, "Don't forget, tonight's our movie night." I smiled back, never knowing it would be our last. Hours later, I got the call. There had been an accident on the highway. Drunk driver. Daniel never made it home. My world shattered. Days turned into weeks, and I could barely breathe. I didn't eat much, didn't talk much. The house felt like a ghost, full of memories, but empty of life. I was angry at God, angry at everything, until one day I found something, a small envelope hidden inside Daniel's favorite book. It was addressed to me, the handwriting, his handwriting. Inside was a letter, just 5 words. If life gets hard, choose hope. Those 5 words became my oxygen. I repeated them every day. Choose hope, Lena. Choose hope. It wasn't easy. Bills piled up, friends disappeared. Some nights I cried myself to sleep on the floor, but every morning I forced myself to get up. For him, for the promise I made. Then, a few months later, I discovered something that changed everything. I was pregnant. At first, I was terrified. How could I raise a child alone? But then, I felt Daniel's words again. Choose hope. When my daughter was born, I named her Faith, because that's what she gave back to me. Her little fingers wrapped around mine, and for the first time in months, I smiled. Really smiled. She became my reason to live, my light, my laughter, my hope. Raising her alone wasn't easy. I worked 3 jobs, teaching, cleaning, even babysitting, just to keep food on the table. There were days when I'd hide my tears in the bathroom because I didn't want Faith to see me cry. But every time she looked at me with her big brown eyes and said, "Mommy, you're the strongest person in the world," I believed it, even if only for a moment. Years passed. Faith grew into a bright, curious girl with her father's smile. I was proud, so proud. Until one winter, life tested me again. I was diagnosed with heart disease. Doctors said I needed surgery, expensive, risky, and not guaranteed. Faith was just 15. I didn't want her to see me weak, so I wrote her a letter, just like Daniel had written to me. Inside it, I wrote, "When life gets hard, choose hope." I left it under her pillow before going into surgery. The surgery didn't go as planned. I was in a coma for almost 2 months. When I finally woke up, my body was weak. I couldn't speak properly. I thought my life was over. But then I saw her. Faith was standing beside me, stronger, braver, older somehow. She had been studying, working part-time, and even organizing fundraisers to pay my hospital bills. When I tried to apologize, she just smiled and said, "Mom, I read your letter. You told me to choose hope." So I did. At that moment, I realized the cycle had completed. The same hope Daniel gave me. I had passed to our daughter, and she gave it back to me when I needed it most. Years later, Faith became a doctor, helping other families heal, just like she healed me. And on her graduation day, she handed me a small card. It said, "Hope never dies. It just changes hands." That's when I finally understood Daniel was never gone. He lived through every act of love, every word of courage, every moment we chose hope instead of fear. So if you're listening to my story today and you feel like life is breaking you, remember my promise, no matter what happens. Choose hope, because hope can turn even the deepest pain into the most beautiful beginning.